Your story is enough, not because it's dramatic, not because it's perfectly packaged, and not because it's better than anyone else's, but because it's yours. Here's why founders doubt their story. Most of the founders I work with, they're already successful, okay? They've exited companies, they've built big teams, they've done the hard things. But when it comes time to share their story, they freeze. Because there's this quiet, almost unspoken fear. What if my story isn't interesting enough to build a brand on? Or even worse, who am I to say anything at all? So they default to posting frameworks. They're sharing market observations. They're talking about value in really abstract ways. All good, but none of it really builds trust. Because trust doesn't really come from what you know. It comes from who you are. Here's the myth of the perfect founder narrative. All right, places like LinkedIn are flooded with perfectly packaged stories, the rags to riches founder arc, right? The failed spectacularly and then rebounded 10x, that hero journey, the snappy, sweet style life lesson. And it's tempting to think that if your story doesn't look like that it's not worth telling. But that's a lie. Because the best clients, they're not buying your arc. They're buying your perspective, your actual lived experience, the way you see problems and how you solve them. Your story, it doesn't need to be extraordinary. It just needs to be true. This is why your real story builds quiet trust. This is what I've learned after doing this for myself and also helping dozens of founders do it as well. Your story, in its honest form, is what builds trust fastest. Because it does three things. One, it humanizes you. We think trust is built by being impressive, but it's almost always built by being human. When you share your story, your struggles, your fears, the small moments that shaped you, people stop seeing you as a service. They start seeing you as a partner. Second, it filters your audience. Not everyone is going to resonate with your story. That's the point. If your story is honest, it's going to naturally repel the wrong clients because they're going to think to themselves, this isn't really for me. Good, perfect. That leaves more space for the people who do get it. Three, it creates emotional safety. Premium clients, they don't buy because of bullet points. They buy because they feel seen, heard, understood. When you share your story, you give them permission to trust you with their story. Okay, here's how I started sharing my real story. Early on, I hid behind expertise. All right, I would post strategic breakdowns, market analysis, very tidy little insights that got engagement. But the big clients, the ones who paid 40, 50, 100K to work with me, they didn't come from clever posts. They came from the quiet stories. Stories like this. Burning out at 13 trying to go pro in tennis. Building something real, then realizing it didn't make me feel anything. Sitting on the floor of my office, terrified that I would never find enough. Those stories did not get the most likes, but they built the deepest trust. The simplicity of your story is this. It doesn't need to be a 12-part thread. It can be as simple as this. I used to think success was scale. Now I think it's peace. Most days I still wrestle with the same doubts that I had 10 years ago, but now I move anyway. I built my brand quietly because I've always felt more comfortable in the calm. That's all it takes. A moment, a reflection, a window into how you see. That's what people hire. That is what people trust. Here's why this matters now more than ever, okay? The market is flooded with templates, swipe files, AI-generated thought leadership, right? Guess what, guys? Your clients, they can feel that. They are hungry for something real, something rooted, something that doesn't feel mass-produced. Your story is the last moat that you have because no one else can fake it. No one else can claim it. No one else can copy the way that you've lived and what it's taught you. So if you're just sitting there wondering, is my story enough? Here's your answer. It always was. It still is. It will always be. Because trust isn't built by shouting louder. It's built by letting people see you, the quiet parts, the questions, the calm confidence that only comes from living it. And if you are ready to turn that into a brand that doesn't just get attention, but it builds trust, I'm here for it. Because your story, your real story, that's enough. Here's what's not enough. If you haven't subscribed to this channel by now, I don't know what to tell you. Give it a shot.